Hey guys, back in here. Today we have a rant. Today is going to be about a rant. And the rant is about a comment that was put in one of my videos, which I happily deleted it because I don't have no time to argue with people. The channel is not about that. The channel is for new initiates or new people looking for information because they feel that they are called to the tradition. So it's not about having these type of miscommunications and problems. Okay, the comment was something of this nature. Number one, the first thing that was said was, you Spaniards, meaning us Latinos, have ruined my African tradition, meaning the other person's African tradition. And also was said, just because you have a dot of black, because that's what he said, of black, and I know why it means, why you say black for, that doesn't mean that you are of us, of them, of his nationality or his culture. And I'm thinking to myself, I read it. I asked him a question. First, I asked him a question if he could elaborate a little bit more. And he didn't want to elaborate anymore. He said, it is what it is, in other words. So I said, okay, let me erase it. This is a bad comment. I don't want people to see this. But it kind of hit me, how people think, and I'm not saying everybody, but how some people think of us Latinos when we say we practice an African-based tradition. But they keep forgetting is that in my videos, the majority of the time, I say the root comes from Africa, but we follow a Afro-Cuban tradition, an Afro-Cuban way, not an African, totally African way, an Afro-Cuban way. And when I mean Afro-Cuban, you have to understand and you have to bring into effect the natives that lived in this land before this land was conquered. We had Taino Indians, Arawak Indians. We had indentured Chinese people that came to work to Cuba also. This was a mixture, a melting pot of nationalities that were mixed together, that people had wives and married and have intercourse with, and children were born out of these, situations and things from different cultures of people in this melting pot. Okay? I wanted to just bring that in there before I forget. Now, people forget that we follow the Afro-Cuban way. Like I said, the root comes from Africa, but it's an Afro-Cuban tradition. Things are different. Things were changed. Things were implemented in there because of the culture, because of the differences of people that came into the land, and things evolved. You understand? Now, when you speak about a dot, and what he meant about a dot of black, meaning just because you have a dot of black doesn't mean that you are, let's say, black. And he called us Spaniards. In other words, Europeans. He's saying just because we have a little bit in our DNA of some African culture or African how can I say gene or something, from one of these nations, let's say African nations, that we are not considered African. I never said I was African. We never claimed to be African, but you know what we do claim to be? We claim to be pro-black. because you said black. And I never met a black person in my whole life. I never met somebody that was black. Never in my life. And you might say, what, Andy? I said, no, I never met nobody black. You met anybody that's black? To this day, I have never met a black person, a human being being black. Never in my life. You see, because this color right here, this is black. This is black. This is black. Almost black. This is blue, okay? But this color, black, never met a human being that color. Now, I met and have met human beings of different shades of brown, from light brown to dark brown, but black, never in my life. Black was a derogatory term that was put on African people and mostly on the African Americans. They put that term, black, on them. Derogatory meaning. You understand? To mean bad. So, as time went on, the African Americans and African people have accepted that word because they understand, okay, that they mean people of us, of this complexion. But in all reality, they're not black. They are a derivative of brown, from light brown to the darkest brown that exists, but never black. Black is this, remember. Same thing has happened with the European. They call them white, but they're not white. This is white. The Europeans, usually when you see them, you see red. And depending of how red they are, or their skin, how lighter their skin is, the more red you see because of the blood in their skin. So you see red ones, and you see lighter red ones, almost pinkish color ones, if you want to get to that. But we're not talking about that. This is a rant, okay? You also have to do a little bit of history and understand that the so-called Spaniards that were never Spaniards in the first place, the people that reside on this part of the land were never Spaniards, were never Latinos. They were the native people of this land, from Taino to Arawak to the so-called American Indians, the Blackfoot, and all these other tribes, to the Mexicans. These people were not Spaniards and were not Spanish. They were native people to the land. It so happens that the native people to the land from here were the first people who were conquered and were put into slavery, including my people, the Tainos. Okay? And that was one of the great reasons why they brought Africans from Africa to the New World, because this was considered a new world. Even Christopher Columbus says it. Okay? Because we already were dying off tremendously, okay, in slavery. But I'm not gonna make this video long. I just wanted to kind of see and show how people's ignorances and how people could degrade other people, calling them Spaniards, calling them, just because you have a little speck of black in you, doesn't mean you're this. We never claimed to be Africans, but we do claim to have in our genes, in our DNA, mixtures, including of African descent. Me, myself, I have Congolese, and I have what was the other Nigerian in my DNA. And I also have Taino in my DNA. Do I have European? Yes, because of the conquering. Now, as an African black, so-called black, because like I said, I never met a black person. Do you think you are 100% black? Are you sure? you don't think you might have in your DNA some European or some Indian, American Indian? Don't you think you might have in your DNA a mixture also? Because nowadays in this part of the earth, nobody here could really say that they are from one nation, really. That they're 100% this, 100% that, because of history and because of slavery, because of rape. You know, we have to think about these things. And us Latinos here that practice these African-based traditions, we are pro-brown people. We are pro-brown. If not, we wouldn't be practicing this. We are not racist to brown people, whatever shade of brown they are, from light to the darkest. Black is a color. Brown is another of different shades. White also is a color. Red too, of different shades. This is just a small rant. I don't want anybody to take it wrong. But it's just to give you the understanding of how people sometimes think of others. And instead of putting a positive comment, they have to put a negative comment, a derogatory comment with derogatory words and little sayings, because they don't come out blunt and say it, but it's easy to understand to the person who could see clear through how they write the actual comments or things that they put there. Keep your head up, guys. Be safe. And salam alaikum malaikum sala. Que same la kutare. Ya tu sabes. En Kisi Malongo. Azúcar.